Welcome to the Mornings with Mel podcast, where every morning, Monday through Friday, we open up God's Word together and seek to know God, love God, and live our life for Christ. I am your host, Melissa Faisst. Hello, dear friends, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Mornings with Mel. I am so enjoying spending my mornings with you, and maybe you don't spend time with me in the morning, maybe you spend time with me in the afternoon. Whatever time it is, I'm just so grateful that we are all able to get together, to dig deep into God's Word, and to grow in our love for Jesus and connecting with Him, knowing Him, and living our life for Christ. So, without further ado, let's get into today's passage. And today's passage is John 6:9. But before I even get into the passage, I'm going to just tell a little backstory so you understand the context of the passage. So in John 6:9, what's happening is Jesus and his disciples have been preaching on the mountainsides to a huge audience of people all day long. They are tired. They are hungry. These people have been out in the sun all day. And so the disciples come to Jesus and they're like, Jesus, all these people are going to be hungry. Like, let them leave. And what they really probably mean is, Jesus, we're tired and we're hungry. We want to go home. So can you just make the people leave? But instead, Jesus looks at his disciples after they've been helping Jesus all day long in the sun with no food. And he says, you feed them. And they're like, Jesus, do you not see that there's 5,000 men plus women and children? So that probably means over 10,000 people. How are we going to feed all of these people? It would take all of our salaries for years to get that much money, to get that much food. Because our natural tendency in life is to look at the natural, to look at what we have at our disposal and think that that is all we have. But here's where I want to jump into the passage. So John 6:9, one of the disciples is coming up to Jesus and he says this. He says, here is a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. But how far will they go among so many? And it's just natural to be like, Jesus, there's 10,000 plus people and we only have this a little amount of food. And the first thing that I want to point out is, where did this little boy come from? And how amazing is it that he is willing to share all that he has? I mean, he has 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and he's saying, I don't have much, but here's all I have, and I'm willing to share it. And sometimes I think that that is all that Jesus is looking at from us. Because in reality, all of us, that's really all we have to give to the table. We're just one person with not much stuff, but what God was looking for was he was looking for the one that was willing, and he was looking for the one who was willing to give it all for the sake of others. And just think, if that little boy had just said, there's over 10,000 people here, how is what I have even going to make a difference among so many? And I think sometimes with our own life, and our own talents, our own resources, we can have that same exact mindset. We can think, well, I don't have what this person has. I don't have, the ability to do all that. So why would I even give anything in the first place? But here is what happens in the story. After that little boy gave his 5 loaves and his 2 fish, Jesus multiplied what that boy gave, and he was able to feed every single person that was there in attendance that day, and there was tons left over. And so this just gives us a principle of what God is able to do. God is able to multiply whatever it is that we give him. And when Jesus multiplies, it always is enough. And not only is it enough, there is overflow. I'm sure that that boy took home more than his 5 loaves and his 2 fish that he gave. He probably got that back plus some. And all he needed to do was be willing to give it all for the sake of others. But I think it does require all. Say that boy kind of wanted to just take a little bit for himself and he was a little bit afraid. And he's like, well, I have this for me, but I'll just give you, one or two. Who knows if God would have multiplied it in the same way? I think God loves it when we can trust him with our all. Because I'm sure that little boy was scared and wanted to keep a little bit from himself. But no, he had faith. And so he was able to give it all to God. And God is asking the same from us. So think about your own life today. What are those loaves and fish in your life? What do you have? What are your resources? What are your gifts? What are your strengths? What are your talents that you can give to God and that he can multiply in his own strength? Because that's the thing. It wasn't this boy's strength that multiplied the food. No, he just gave the little he had, and it was God's strength that multiplied it. Because we can't reach the thousands and feed the multitudes in our own strength. It was God's strength alone, but he loves our participation in it. So what does that look like for you? What can you give to God today? And do you have some of those fears that I mentioned? Maybe those fears where you're comparing yourself to others saying, well, I don't have as much as they do, or they're better at this than me. Or do you say, well, I don't have those resources. I don't have enough. What are those things that are holding you back from giving your all to God today? Because I can tell you, he wants to take your weak little yes, your weak little talents, and he wants to multiply it to feed the multitudes. And so take some time with Jesus today and really ask him those questions. And my encouragement to you is to surrender it all to him. I can tell you because I've done this. When we started our ministry, we had such little resources. We had no following, but we were like, Lord, this is all we have, but we're going to give it all, trusting that you can take the little bit that we have and that you can truly touch people, because that's what he wants to do. But he just wants to do it with us. So let's pray. Jesus, we thank you today that you are the God that is able to multiply the little bit that we give you. God, I ask for all of my friends that maybe they're apprehensive about giving their all to you, or they're despising the little that they have, or they're in shame about the little that they have. God, I ask that you would show them, Lord, that what you're looking for is that willing heart. You're not looking for how much they give. You're just looking for them to give it all. And so God, I just ask that you would help us surrender today. You would show us what our gifts are, what our callings are, what our strengths are, what our resources are, that you can use to multiply it for your name's sake. Would you show it to us, God, and would you help us surrender all to you? We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much for listening to Mornings with Mel. If you are loving this podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. And we would love to hear how God is touching your heart in the reviews section. Also, if you think it might help someone you know, make sure to share it. And don't forget to tag us in at Ronnie and Mel on Instagram so we can see who's listening. We are a nonprofit and couldn't do this podcast without our ministry partners. So to give, you can go to ronnieandmel.com/giving or support our mission through our Christian clothing line at markedcollective.com. And for lots more free content and resources to help you find God and walk with him, make sure to check out our website, ronnieandmel.com, or our YouTube channel, Ronnie and Mel. All that information is linked in the show notes, and as always, keep seeking him.